Welcome to another episode of the Caregiver and Spoonie blog. Just a quick reminder, don't forget to hit that subscribe button here on YouTube so you don't miss any episodes. Also, don't forget to share and like. And once again, my name is Jordan. Thank you for joining me on another episode here. I have received a few questions, a lot of feedback, which I like. Thank you for that. A few people have commented as well people have sent me emails, so I like that. So it's time to get a little bit deep in this episode. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go deep with you guys because, just like I always say, I just want to show you and prove to you that no matter what you're going through, you can get through it. Obviously, it's hard. I'm never gonna say that it's easy. It's always gonna be hard. But once you work through whatever you're going through, oh, it gets so much easier. I can assure you that I'm a testament to that. So let's get to this. So I have talked about a few things, and let's get deep on this. I mean, it's even hard for me to talk about it because it's hard. So what I talked about how my mom was not like the best mom, and she really wasn't. And like I said, I have forgiven her, but there was one. Well, there were multiple, but there was one case where it really, really, really did mess me up because here's what happened. My brother, he's like I have said before, he's not the sharpest tool in the shed. So for some reason, I remember that we were watching TV in the room. We were sharing a room. I don't know why he had a knife with him. And I remember we were watching this show. I don't know exactly what show it was, but for some reason he pulled the knife. He acted like he was gonna stab me. He just scratched my hand, and I got scared and I called for my mom. So I was like, Mom, Jonathan that's his name. My brother's name is Jonathan. Jonathan has a knife and he's gonna stab me. So I don't know why. She flipped out. Like, she literally flipped out. She grabbed the knife from my brother and said this. I remember. I mean, that's how bad it messed me up. She grabbed the knife from my brother and literally said, like, "Oh, you want to stab somebody? I'm gonna show you what it feels like." And started like, my mom started like literally like poking him, and at one point like she literally stabbed him in the leg, like on the calf, or on the side of the leg, like, yeah, on the calf, in front of me. I just remember like how my brother started like crying and screaming in pain, and my mom, like, she kind of got scared. I was scared. I was like, I didn't know what to do. My brother is bleeding like literally right in front of me. I'm like scared. My brother's crying. He's all like, I'm gonna call the cops. In Mexico in this case, but I don't know what they would have done. One of the things that happened, my mom was instead of like trying to help my brother, she just let him there, like crawl on the floor, like bleeding all over, and he was all crying, and he's so like, I'm gonna call the cops. And my mom is like, no, you're not gonna call the cops. And then my brother is all like, okay, well then I'm gonna go to the doctor. And my mom is like, no, you're not gonna go to the doctor. Go to your bed, go to the bedroom. And I didn't say anything. I just remember seeing everything, but I didn't say anything. So I just saw everything. Then my brother turns around, like he's crawling on the floor to the door. My brother turns around, sees me, and he's like, Jordan, help me. And I'm like, this was probably when I was like 8 or 9. I was little. I was like 8 or 9, something like that. So I didn't know what to do. I see all the blood. My mom. So he's crawling towards me, and my mom is all like, "Don't talk to your brother. You're gonna traumatize him." And now I'm thinking like, really? That's gonna traumatize me? Not the fact that you stabbed my brother in front of me, even though I don't get along with my brother. Still, I was like 7. I was at a young age, like 8 or 9, or between 7 and 9. So I was like, what the heck? Like, what the hell? Like, I didn't know what to do. My mom didn't do anything, and then finally my brother like decided to just take a shower and go to bed with a stab wound in his leg. He didn't even go to the doctor. Literally, it just healed by itself. And and literally, I'm like, I remember that I couldn't sleep that day. I couldn't really sleep that day. I was like literally mortified. And one of the things that came up with therapy is that I you guys are gonna hear this a lot, but my mom or my brother never asked me exactly how I felt after that. And just like I mentioned on the episode of being a bully, like we don't ask kids or people how exactly they're feeling, because either we don't know how to approach them or we just really don't care. Like my mom acted like she didn't care. It was pretty much she went into her own survival mode where she was like, I'm not going to jail, you're not going out, go back to bed. That was pretty much what my mom did. I'm like, I didn't even cry. I was just almost in like a state of shock. I was in a state of shock. I was like, and I still remember seeing all the blood because like I said, my brother was crawling on the floor. I see all the blood because he was bleeding. Like the wound wasn't like that bad, but he was still bleeding, and I was still like a little kid, so I'm gonna see blood and it's gonna get like, it's gonna traumatize me. And my mom never asked me like how exactly are you feeling or anything like that. She acted like nothing happened. That's the problem with my mom. She acts like nothing happened. Like she literally stabs my brother in front of me, and then the next day she talks to my brother or me like nothing literally happened the next day or the day before. So I what came up with therapy is that kind of made me feel helpless. Like I was helpless, not being able to help my brother and not being able to do anything because I didn't know what to do. So what that does sometimes, and this is for anybody that has gone through something like this, if you feel helpless, you have to look at your past. Like, what did you see? What exactly did you see? Because you're gonna hear through this blog that all the things that I saw and that happened to me, I'm like, there was a reason why I always felt like I always felt like I had to please people and help them no matter what, even if it was me getting hurt or something like that. That's the way that I was, which is a good way. I mean, but if you do it for the right reasons, if you do it for the wrong reasons, then it's not good for you. And the reason why I was doing that is because I saw my brother getting stabbed in front of me, so I didn't know what to do. So that kind of put in my head, according to the therapist, that kind of put in my head that I had to always be ready to help, no matter what was the issue, no matter what was happening. I had to help. That's pretty much that what came off of it. And also, um, there was a lot of like fear for my mom, not for mom, from like I was scared. Sorry, I was scared of my mom, and as you can see, why was I scared of my mom? Because she could have stabbed me too at one point. And and there were things. Some of the times, like even though I was like, and I'm gonna say this real quick, my mom doesn't care about age. It doesn't care if you're taller than her or anything like that. If she wants to punch you or throw something at you or hurt you, she is going to hurt you. That's how I grew up. Like my mom, it's a beast. I'm just gonna put it like that. But with this particular experience, like it was very very hard for me, and it still kind of is. Like it's getting better, obviously, because now I'm able to talk about it. Before I couldn't even talk about it, but it's hard because it's like, wow, my mom did that, and she didn't really care about like what happens next. She was just mostly caring about herself. Like she cared more about herself, like not going to jail, or which, no offense, but I think it would have been good for her. Just saying. But and what I'm trying to say with this story is that sometimes as a kid, you might have seen something. You might not remember right now what you saw, because here's what happens. And this is one of the things that I have learned by reading and listening to like neurologists and psychologists and people that actually know about how the brain works. When you see something like that, your brain is going to protect you. And what that does is that it's going to put that memory, it's going to lock that memory away, but it's not going to lock the feeling. That's the thing. We can put memories away. Our brain is going to lock memories away so we don't remember them. It's kind of like a defense mechanism, but it's not going to remove the feeling. Like it can, like for example, in my case, with a lot of things that happened, particularly on this one, I was scared of my mom. I was very scared of my mom. So what happened is that memory was locked away in my brain, in my mind, but the feeling of fear was radiating from wherever that memory was locked into. So that's what happens. Like if you saw something that made you angry, if you saw something that made you angry when you were a kid, or that made you sad, or that made you feel a certain way, now as an adult or even as a teenager, you might be projecting those feelings. That's what happens. I mean, and that's why it's important to know where those feelings are coming from. Like I honestly had forgotten about that until I went to therapy. Or I didn't forget about that. It was more like I mentioned, my mind, my brain, my auto defense mechanism put lock that memory away to prevent me from suffering or from remembering something that's gonna hurt me. So, but the problem is that, like I mentioned, the feeling is still, you're still gonna have that feeling of fear or like helplessness or hopelessness or whatever feeling, whatever memory you have made you feel. And that's why I'm very vocal about going to therapy, because it helped me. It made me realize things like this, that how things that I saw as a kid, like my brother getting stabbed, made me feel like scared. Like when my mom, when somebody would raise their voice at me, I will get scared, because I think I have mentioned this before. My mom doesn't talk; she yells. Like you might think you can have a conversation with her, but she's yelling at you. So if somebody will start yelling at me, it will scare me. But then I will go into like my fight or flight mode, and I will fight. That's how I am. Like that's how I used to be. Now I'm more calm. I don't get like that upset, because like I have mentioned before, I think it was on the being a bully episode. I learned to not to take everything personal, and if you take everything personal, it could be from a memory, kind of like what happened to me. Like I was scared, like if I couldn't see knives for a while, like I kind of resented people that carry knives. And I remember this, that I saw people like carrying knives, just like pocket knives or anything like that, and it will kind of like either make me scared or kind of get me into like, like, oh, I gotta be ready for whatever is coming. But all of that came from that particular memory, or from that particular episode in my past about my mom stabbing my brother in front of me. So I know that a lot of people are having mental health issues. Mental health right now, it could be the next pandemic. Like I'm not even kidding. Like all of this information that I'm talking about the brain and psychology and all of that, it's in Google. You can research it yourself. but because I actually like to read about things like that, I want to give you that information because it's it's a lot to learn, and I'm not saying that you guys are not gonna learn it, but it's a lot. There's a lot of information, and the next thing, and that's why a lot of people right now have depression, anxiety, and anything like that, and the medicines are not working because one of the things that happens is that the medicines that they give you for anxiety and depression, and I'm gonna have an episode just about this, is like, for example, in my case, because of episodes like that, like the ones that I had with my mom where she stabbed my brother, I had anxiety like that. I had anxiety so freaking bad, like I had panic attacks. But the thing is that I didn't know how to what exactly was going on. I thought it was just I was just uh, a kid and being scared, which I was, but I still had anxiety. I was very anxious. I still kind of am. Like, I'm still fighting through it, and it's a fight. Unfortunately, you don't get over it. But what I was trying to say as well is that there's two things. There's two types of mental health issues. The ones that are caused by a chemical imbalance, which in this case, the medicine will help you. But then there's the other kind, which is emotional. It's an emotional imbalance, which is going to cause anxiety, kind of like what happened to me, and it can happen to you, or a lot of people that you know may have anxiety and the medicines don't work. But it could be because of a situation that's of something they saw or something that happened to them, and it caused for them to have depression, it caused for them to have anxiety, and the medicines are not working. So it's more like a like in this case also, I was depressed. I was very depressed for that particular episode, and for other episodes that happened with my mom and or in my life, where I saw people dying. I saw a lot of things happening, especially in Mexico, and also in the news in Mexico. They're very graphic. And I don't know why, but my mom will let me watch the news, or the newspaper that will show like literally like bodies being decapitated, or like blood, organs, everything like out of like somebody's body. Like, my mom will let me see that. So that caused a lot of anxiety, that caused a lot of depression in me. But the problem is that with me, I don't know if it happens to a lot of people, but depression can also trigger anger. Like, in my case, it's something that it's very rare, but my depression was causing me to be angry. Like, it is weird, but I guess it happens. I even found out online that it's like a very low, it's a very unknown thing about depression that can actually cause anger. Like, not a lot of people suffer that kind of depression, but I did. So that's why I was also angry all the time. And I never got into medicine. Like, I never took any type of medicine. My mom never took me to the doctor, pretty much, about my mental health. So I suffered for so long because of episodes like seeing my brother stabbed in front of me and things like that. But what I'm trying to say with this is that if you saw something, it's okay to talk about it. You need to let those feelings out. Whatever you saw, whatever happened to you, let those feelings out. You can do it with your friend, somebody that you trust. You can do it with therapy, and like I have mentioned before, you can do it anonymously, because nobody needs to know that you go into therapy. If you're afraid that somebody's gonna make fun of you, you don't need to tell them. Cause let me tell you this real quick. I used to work at UPS a long time ago, and at the call center, and one of the managers there, he was not a nice person. Like, he was like such a wretched person. Like, nobody liked him. Nobody liked him. Like, he was so rude, and I don't even know how to describe him. Like, you just wanted to punch him in the face as soon as he started talking to you, because the way that he talked to other people, it was like in a way that will try to put you down. And one day I went to therapy, and he came out of therapy, and I recognized him. I don't think he recognized me, but I was like, wow, he needed it. Like, because me and him, we got into arguments so many times, and I wanted to fight him so bad. Like, I wanted to punch him in the face so bad. But when I saw him out of therapy, I was like, wow, he needed that. So if he needed it, I'm like, I needed it then. Because I wasn't as bad as him, but I was getting to that point. And like I was saying, like, nobody needs to know that you're going to therapy, and you don't need to suffer alone. That's the thing. You don't need to suffer alone. I had suffered alone. I never talked to anybody about anything that happened to me. Not even my wife. My wife pretty much learned everything about me until I went to therapy, until I was able to open up. Because another thing is that when you see something like that, and depending on the feelings, or most of the time, you're gonna feel ashamed. Like, because of my brother getting stabbed in front of me and I couldn't do anything. I felt like it was my fault for calling my mom. I also felt like ashamed because I couldn't do anything. I felt like it was, like I said, it was my fault. Like I was ashamed. So if you have a memory that makes you feel ashamed, or if it makes you feel a certain way, you have to ask yourself, how come this makes me feel this way? And if you don't know how to articulate the exact feeling, you can go to therapy. There's nothing wrong with that. That's how I learned how to pretty much articulate my feelings, because I didn't even know. My therapist had this deck of cards with and each card was a feeling. When I saw the deck of cards, I was like, that's a lot of feelings. I didn't even know there were a lot of feelings. I didn't even know most of the feelings. Because the deck of cards will tell you, and you can actually look this on Google or Amazon. I think they sell them on Amazon, like deck. I don't remember exactly what it's called, but you can just search for like deck of cards or feeling, something like that. And the deck of cards has the feeling of, for example, love, and then it will give you like a description. So that's how I learned what helplessness, hopelessness, sadness, and a lot of feelings I learned from that deck of cards, because I was like, I couldn't articulate. I'm like, I feel a certain way, but I can't really explain it. And usually, I don't know if it happens to you, but this is what happened to me, or I've seen it with a lot of guys, especially guys. When we're not able to articulate something with a specific way of how we're feeling or whatever we're trying to express, we get mad. We get like, not mad, but like frustrated, and that frustration turns into anger because probably of something that happened on our childhood. Like, we got frustrated, or we saw our parents getting frustrated, and then they got mad. It's like they get frustrated, and then they get mad, and then they take it out on us. So we get frustrated, we get mad, we take it out on somebody. So it's a cycle, and that's why I want to stop. We want to stop this freaking cycle. Like, things that I saw made me a certain way, but I took control of my feelings, I took control of my life, I took control of my mind, and I'm able to live a better life. And that's why I like to tell my story, because I know that a lot of people have suffered in silence, and I don't want you to suffer in silence. I want you to live the best life, because if I can do it, why not you? Literally, I'm the kid that moved from Mexico at 13 years old. I've been arrested. I saw so many things that I'm going to be talking about in other episodes. But I've been arrested. I've been chased by the cops. I've been afraid of getting deported before I had my papers. I've been afraid of getting deported. Um, there's a lot of feelings that I had gone through that I didn't even know existed until I went to therapy. So I know that a lot of you might be feeling the same way, and that's why I created the community. I created the podcast because I want you to get out of the darkness. I want you to get out of that darkness and be able to see the light. Because especially now, I'm recording this during the pandemic. If you're locked in your house and you feel like your mental state is actually going down because you're just locked inside, you're not, or you lost your job, I know that's gonna be stressful. I've been through something like that. Right now, I'm very lucky. I feel lucky because, and I'm grateful as well because I still have a job, and but I have lost jobs before and I didn't know what to do. So I know what you're going through. I've been there. And the thing is that when you know exactly how you feel, it's better to you can handle it better. Because if you don't know exactly how you're feeling, or if you're stressed and you have things to pay, you have a family to take care of, you're gonna get stressed. You're gonna go back to the way it's to the way that you were acting as a kid, because that's the only thing that you know. Like in my example, if I see somebody like suffering in front of me, I will feel helpless. I will used to feel helpless, and I couldn't do anything. I will almost freeze. Why? Because I saw my brother getting stabbed in front of me and I couldn't do anything. So, or for example, when my mom will get mad, she will take it out on us, on my brother and me. So if I will get mad, I will try to take it out on somebody, on my wife, or with my mom, or with my brother. Like me and my mom got in so many fights. Me and my brother got in so many fights. So, or like I mentioned, I was a bully at school, so I was taking it out on somebody. So I know what it's like to be in the darkness. And I also now I can tell you that once you get out of the darkness, you can enjoy the light. Like this one right here. And I'm trying to be funny, but I'm sorry if it's not. And it feels so much better. You will enjoy life. You will be able to uh, enjoy so many things that you didn't know how to enjoy before, because you will be more you will be more connected with yourself and your feelings. And that's the thing, is that as kids, whenever you see something, and that's why on the bullying episode I said, like, with our kids, we have to ask them. We have to ask them, how are you feeling? Like, I want you to tell me, how are you feeling? Like, I'm your dad, I'm your mom. I want to know, how are you feeling? Not because I'm being nosy or anything like that. I just want to make sure that you're okay and that you know that you're able to talk to me. That's how I will treat my kids. If me and my wife ever have kids, that's how I will treat them, because I've been treated the other way. I've been treated the bad way, so I don't want anybody else to suffer that same way, the same situation. So that's today's episode. I hope this is you're understanding, like, my point with all of these episodes, and I hope you're enjoying them. Like I said, don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. If you want to share your story, you can share it anonymously on the email, which is the caregiverandspoony@gmail.com. You can also get support and share your story on the community on Facebook at the Caregiver and Spoony community, or just follow the podcast at the Caregiver and Spoony podcast. And thank you for all your love and support and your feedback. Keep it coming. If you have anything to say about the blog or the podcast, just send me an email or like or share or comment. And I'll leave you with this. Always, and I mean always, and I really do mean it, always take care of yourself. If you're not able to take care of yourself, you're not gonna be able to take care of anything else. I learned that the hard way. So I'm telling you, take care of yourself and have a great day.